Good up.
This is Channel 253.
On this episode of the Grit and Grain podcast.
He just really honed in on to trying to craft lagers and create this beer that you actually like want to drink and drink multiple of. Mm-hmm. And then kind of learning about it because he is a perfectionist and a purist.
Sure.
He just really loved the fact that, you know, German beer, like at the end of the day, that's what beer should be. Like that's the basis of beer.
That's
you
the
know?
base of all other beer.
Yeah, you just have a few ingredients and like that is and I try to explain to people who come into the tap room that like, they're like, oh yeah, it's just like a light beer. I'm sure you could just like whip that up real easily. I'm like, no, they are way harder to make and they take twice as long.
Yeah.
It's like you can't hide anything in that.
Channel 253 is member supported. I'm producer Doug Mackey, and I hope you will show your support by going to channel253.com/membership and join. Thank you.
Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, coming to you guys from Peaks and Pints in Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for hanging out, as always. If you're new here, we're a craft beer podcast, and we're trying to keep everybody dialed in to what's going on in the beer world up in the Northwest and everywhere else. All of our New York listeners. My name is Matt McLaren. I'm here as always with Ron Sworners.
Well, hello.
What's up, Ron Sworners?
I'm logger than life today.
I'm so happy to see you. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been a month.
Yeah.
We're so happy you're back.
Feel great.
Seriously.
Feel great.
Good.
I feel like we made everybody really nervous with all of our talk about how you weren't feeling well.
Well, I got calls.
Dude, what's going on?
Yeah.
So welcome back. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Phaedra's on mic. How's it going, Phaedra?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Bethany,
Good to
how are
see
you?
Great. Dandy.
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 Perfect. Our guest today is somebody I'm super excited to talk to. I suppose it's one half of our full our full guest setup. But this is a new brewery to this area because they just recently started sending beer down here, which is super awesome. But Kate from Larrabee Lager Company is down here from Bellingham.
Woo!
Welcome.
Hi, Kate.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm pumped.
Nice.
Cool.
I mean, I'd say the better half is here, but you know.
I would too.
No, Sam's awesome.
Sam is awesome, does awesome work, but is not feeling very well. So you're filling in, and thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Super excited to talk to you today.
Yeah.
Before we get into stuff, though, what's everybody drinking? Ron, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Pliny the Younger.
Congratulations.
I'm also drinking the Northtown Pilsner. It's amazing. So good.
It's good.
Dude, that beer is fantastic.
It is Larrabee. I mean, like when I drink that, I'm like, yep, this is it. This is who we are.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Not the state park.
But not the state park.
Okay.
I know. Not the state park. No. I adore that beer, and Sam just really knocked that one out of the park for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Bethany, what are you drinking?
So good. That's what I have too.
You do, dude.
Yep.
So when we I gushed about this with all of our sales guys too, but like when we sat down and tried everything, we work with a ton of breweries. We have 50 breweries, and we try whole lineups from breweries all the time. And it's like, even really great breweries, it's really rare that like every single beer feels like a home run. And like, we all sat down and tried 7 Larrabee beers all at once, and they all felt like home runs. That one was like where everybody was like, Jesus Christ, this is like perfect. Carbonation is like dialed up just a touch on it. Super toasty. Like the bitterness is like so clean and falls right off. It's excellent.
Yeah.
I was surprised that I think it won bronze last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who it won. Yeah, it won bronze. I can't for the life of me remember who got first and second in that. But
I should have looked. I was like, there's
like,
no fucking way that there's a bet. Yeah.
Who cares about first and second?
Right.
Yeah, you're like, whatever.
Hey, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking our Palestrol Vienna Lager. It's my favorite one we have on right now because I'm a fan of dry, crisp beers, and this has that, but also with some malt body that I'm here for it.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's my next one. What
Yeah.
do you have? What do you have, Matt?
Larrabee's,
Oh, that's a sneaky one.
dude, yeah, dark
Yeah.
Mexican lager. It's like the logical conclusion of like Negra Modelo.
Yeah.
Like it's like super chocolatey, like really nice,
Yeah.
and it's tons of like toasty grain. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm eating this signature pizza bite sandwich.
And drinking
you have
Pliny too, right?
Drinking Pliny.
Life is good.
Making everybody else drink Pliny. Congrats on getting Pliny the Younger, Ron.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Been a lot of
I just kind of snuck it on yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah. And yeah.
everybody.
I'm
was
gonna have to
like-
have some now.
I know.
Yeah.
Everybody's calling you with Pliny
Yeah.
orders.
Yeah.
Vice is doing they're tapping their not getting any younger triple IPA this Friday,
Perfect,
which is
man.
one of my favorite beer releases every year now. Well, yeah. So yeah, as we said, Larrabee is a relatively new brewery up in the Bellingham area, that's like a very, very strong beer brewing
Yeah.
region. It is really
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
to stand out, but you guys came out of the gate just unbelievably hot with an immediate Small Brewery of the Year
Yeah.
award and multiple medals immediately. How has like all of that very quick recognition been so far?
It's been a wild ride. It's one that we really needed, honestly, because it's like we knew going into Bellingham in a place that's already got a ton of breweries, it was kind of like, okay, how are we going to stand out? Like, what are we going to do? And at the time, we were living in Spokane, and we heard that Chuckanut was leaving and moving all their stuff down to Burlington. And so Sam and I kind of like looked at each other. We're like, this is the time. Like we've got to get back to Bellingham, and this is our time to come in with lagers because that's what we want to do. So it was just kind of one of those things where you have to set yourself up for when you're already going into a place that has so many breweries for such a small town.
And
It's
they're
like,
like
how are you?
good.
And they're great. I mean, they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to set yourself apart? And so one was definitely being lager focused. And then another was, this big German beer hall and this community vibe, because Bellingham has a lot of small tap rooms, and the breweries aren't necessarily having this like huge size for the tap room at least. And so it was just like, how can we come in and have lagers in a community space that really you don't see with the breweries there. And so that was great because it got people in the door, but the awards that we've won has just kind of shown Bellingham that like, yeah, we're the newest, but that doesn't mean we don't know what the hell we're doing,
totally
right?
belong
Like,
here. Yeah.
we know what we're doing. My head, Sam was the head brewer of Kulshan. We went over to Spokane and he helped open a brewery and immediately won.
Brickwest.
Yeah, Brickwest. Yeah. And he, got them a bunch of awards. And so it was like, yeah, we're new, but we're here. We're good.
Right.
We know what we're doing, and we're coming in with world-class lagers.
The cool thing about
it's
Brickwest is you guys actually helped build it.
Yeah.
So he designed the brew house.
Yeah. So when Sam got back from doing his, Glenn Falconer scholarship in the brewing school that he did over in Munich, he came back and was like, all right, I'm not at Kulshan anymore, so we're either going to start a brewery now, or I want to be part of one that's being built so I can learn what that's about. And so he came across that opportunity on Craigslist, and these two guys, Jordan and Matt, had the building over in Spokane. I know,
Hilarious.
Craigslist, right?
I know.
That's
Because he was
so
like,
funny.
he was always looking at Pro Brewer, and he knew the places to look for
Yeah.
legit. Not that this wasn't legitimate, but
Brewbound.
not that it wasn't legitimate. But he was like, I guess I'll look on Craigslist because what else we got going on? And so he totally found that, and we went over to Spokane, and they were like, we have the building. And it's empty, but we don't know anything about making beer. We don't know how to build a brewery. We have no idea.
They're like, help.
Yeah, Sam was like, yeah, I know how to do it. Kind of, but we'll learn. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And so, he went in there and just completely designed the whole brew house, got it up and running.
Did you have a part in it too? Or you?
No,
part of the
I had
operation?
nothing to do with it. But I also do real estate. And so Jordan, who was one of the owners of Brickwest. He also has a real estate company. So I'm like, well, this is just weird. Like,
This is the perfect fit.
like this is the perfect fit. Like,
Yeah.
I can go over there and do real estate, and like, I don't. Yeah. So it was all kind of like all signs were pointing towards like this is too good to be true and pass up. So he was like, yeah, you know what? We'll get to starting our own, but let's go over there. It's Spokane. It's not far away. So let's go over there and do it. And we did our 2 years there, and it was during the pandemic, so that was wild. And we had another kid. It was a crazy time. It was a crazy time. But,
That is crazy.
But yeah, it was.
Dude, opening
it was fun.
Brickwest is like, that's a pretty, for anybody who's like Spokane, like, you know, but like Brickwest, I mean, rose
It's-
so quickly.
Yeah.
And like it is almost the Spokane brewery
Yeah.
that you think about outside of, you know, I guess
No
like,
Lie.
No Lie is like
Yeah.
the big,
Yeah, No
that's like the
Lie.
big
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
like, it's probably Brickwest after that. And like, we work with
Yeah.
Lumberbeard.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and like, obviously there's Whistle Punk and like all these great breweries are
Yeah.
out there.
Tons.
But
Yeah.
Brickwest, for a long time, outside of No Lie, was the only one that people really talked about
Yeah.
outside of Spokane, which is like a testament to like
And it's
very
huge.
good work,
Yeah.
early work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
It's pretty great. And like the Washington Beer Awards, it was so funny seeing the Hefeweizen category because Brickwest won gold, we won silver, and Kulshan won bronze. And Sam was like, "That's literally my
Those are all me.
resume.
Yeah,
That is
those are-
literally me.
Dude, that's
All three of those Hefeweizens are me." And so it was so funny. He's just like, "Well, I guess I know how to make
And
Hefeweizens."
the Brickwest
Yeah.
is after he had his hands on the German hefts.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The judges are literally like 1, 2, and 3 taste so similar.
Like,
Yeah.
wow,
Really tight call here.
They're all Sam's
It's the
beer.
same beer. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Dude,
was.
that's wild.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
So Sam said something to me because I emailed him to kind of gush about how much we enjoyed all of the beer,
Yeah.
and like we weren't super surprised, but it just like we have a
Yeah.
lot of great beer, and I was like, hey man,
Yeah.
you do a great job. Like I just want you to know that we all really love it. And he was like, thanks, I'm brewing really confidently right now, and
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's like
Yeah.
That's a great mindset to have, especially in this industry. And I was literally going to ask you where you think that comes from, but all three of those beers were his beers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where that comes from.
Yeah. He's so meticulous, and he's such a perfectionist, which, you know, has its pros and cons. But, you know, he knows how to make fantastic beer, and he's serious about it. And he won't put out anything that's not perfect. Like, he's just
Excellent.
like, he doesn't shy away from needing to be like, you know what, this batch isn't good. Yeah, it's money down the drain, but like, I'm not going to put it out
Yeah.
if I don't think it's quality. So, and
important.
that takes a lot of guts to be able to do that and know that, like, yeah, maybe that batch just, I don't know, something was off. Maybe I didn't like the hops that I used or whatnot. So, you know, I think that's another thing of why we're putting out good stuff. It's because he won't put out stuff that's not, right?
Yeah, can't keep
Yeah.
afford to dumping beer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So, Kay, you chose real estate over baseball because you were in baseball for quite a while, right?
I didn't necessarily choose real estate over baseball, but we moved to Bellingham.
Yeah. Do they have a minor league up there?
No, they have the Bellingham Bells, which is just like a college summer league, and they're only there for like 2 months. So, yeah, it was interesting when Sam was like, "I want to go to Bellingham. I want to start a brewery," and I was like, "Okay, I'm working for the Mariners. I really like it. But like, well, I guess we'll see what happens." And so I was like, "Let's just give it a go." And yeah, it was a little interesting. Getting to Bellingham, like, wow, this is not a sports-oriented place at all.
Well, mountain biking and skiing.
I was
Well,
going to say.
yes, yeah, like the outdoor sports, but like
Yeah.
I mean, I studied sports media in college and hopes to work for the PGA. So like that's just like a total, you know, complete opposite thing. But I knew his dream was to do that, and so it's like I'll give this a shot and we'll see if it sticks. And then we just kind of went
You
with
two
it.
met over baseball, right?
Yeah. Very, just our story is just wackadoo. So I went
got
to,
time.
yeah, right. We got time. I went to Oklahoma State and I graduated there, and I didn't want to go back to Dallas and live at my parents' house. I was like, I'm taking any sports job I can get. So I was applying to like jobs left and right all over the country. Somehow I landed on a marketing and promotions for the Evansville Otters independent league baseball team. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to Indiana for 4 months. It's just a summer thing, and then I'll go back to Dallas and figure it out. And so while I was there, that is where Sam was the stadium operations manager. So it was just like
Oh man.
Totally crazy, but yeah, it was like the first week we were working there, and I was just, I'm like, who are you? I want to know you. You're cute. And so, yeah, we just connected, and after those 4 months, he's like, well, I'm going back to Seattle, because he's like, I'll go live in my parents' basement and figure it out too. And I was like, well, I guess I like you. And we'll see if this works. If it doesn't, I'll just go back to Dallas. But yeah, I'll go with you. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest before. So yeah, after 4 months, on our way to drive back here, we drove back down to Dallas so my parents could meet this man that
you were about to
moving across the country with.
Goodness.
And so yeah, that was in 2011, and look where we are now.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
this is history.
So yeah,
Jeez.
it was just very random. It was just like this kid from Bellevue, this girl from Dallas, just meeting in Indiana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
far away from home for both of you.
Yeah, but the stadium there in Indiana, the Evansville Otters, that's where they shot a lot of A League of Their Own.
Wow.
And yes, and so there's still like the Rockford like peaches, paintings and stuff that are on there. So and that's like one of my favorite movies. So I was like, that's freaking cool too. So now if I watch that, I just be like, hey, tell my like daughters, I'm like, that's where mommy and daddy met. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
So
Yeah.
It's real cool.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I know, it's so good. Right?
And then he got a job across the street at Pyramid from the stadium, right?
Yeah, so he was doing, I don't even remember how he got that. But yeah, he was kind of like doing maintenance / pouring in the beer garden that they had there. And I was, during the day when I wasn't working for the Mariners, but during the day, I was actually working as a legal assistant for a DUI attorney who had an office building on the 3rd floor, on that top of the Pyramid building. So like,
way.
Sam and I's entire life were just revolved around that block.
Just working.
And then I'll be working, and then I'll look out, and if it's like an afternoon game, then I just see him down there pouring beer, and I'm like, I want to go drink beer. But yeah, he was doing that and like pouring beer, and he weasels his way into anything. So he was like, how can I make this more of like learning breweries and whatnot? And so yeah, then he started like doing maintenance, and he was talking to the brewer there, but they didn't brew there at the time. I'm pretty sure they were just doing all theirs. Yeah, it was just the tap. So yeah.
Was he homebrewing at this time?
Oh yeah. Yes, yes, he was. And we lived in, the first place we lived in, other than his parents' basement, was a place in Green Lake and then in Ballard. And we were just like on the top floor of this house. It was converted into a single studio apartment thing. And so he would have his carboys lined up on the kitchen counter, and at night I'm sleeping, you just hear the like blub 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 blub, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, this better turn into something, or else what am I doing? And it did.
If we don't retire off of this, I'm fucking out.
Like, I just don't think I can hear this noise anymore. But yeah, and then I would always just like, he'd waste, not like waste, but in my eyes, I'm like, you just wasted a day, just like making this be like, what are you doing?
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
I feel like it's the same story.
Yeah.
Any partner of a home brewer.
Yeah.
Same story.
Few in the room here.
You're just sitting there and you're just like, wow.
Just like, I love that you have a hobby, but.
I want my kitchen.
But could you fucking not?
It's like, could it not be this?
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
It'd be cool if I could take a shower and like, you didn't have carboys in the bathtub.
Carboys everywhere.
If I could park my car in the garage.
It's just not. We still have like the whole homebrew system that he built over. We still have it. We just keep lugging it around everywhere we move. He's like, I should get rid of this. I should sell it. And I'm like, no one's buying this.
That's where the magic was born.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like romantic now. It's like a memento.
Yeah. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, shit. He certainly turned it into something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So he worked like. Where did the transition from like, doing maintenance, doing brewing, and he was a home brewer, like, was that always a goal, or did he kind of realize that he was trying to do that while he was at Pyramid, and he was like, I could totally make a job out of this?
Yeah, it was kind of like what he learned while he was at Pyramid, of just kind of like, I do want to turn this into something, and I want to learn how to start a brewery and what it takes and whatnot. So that happened. That kind of like became a light bulb in his head while he was at Pyramid. And there was the weekend, and Sam went to Western, so he knew Bellingham.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't, but the weekend that his younger brother graduated from Western, we were up in Bellingham. And if you're ever in Bellingham in the summer, on a summer day, you're like, this is the best place in the entire world. It's just so amazing and beautiful. And we were sitting at Boundary Bay, and we were eating lunch, and it was just like out on like the deck, and it was so beautiful. And Sam's like, you know what? I want to start a brewery. Like, let's move to Bellingham. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I don't know. This place is really cool, though. Like,
Sure.
I'm down with it. It's beautiful. It's chiller. And so it was another one. I was like, I followed him all around. So like up until that point, like, why am I going to stop here and say no? Might as well just keep going as far north as we can, or we can't anymore. And so yeah, I think he was just kind of like, you know, I'm not going to do any brewing at Pyramid. So why don't I come up here and let's open a brewery here? And I was like, yeah. But then when we got there, we're like, we don't have any experience or money or anything. Like, we're 23. What are we doing? Like, what is that? Is that really what we're doing? So,
That's a terrifying suggestion for a 23-year-old to make.
right? I know. Well, and at the time, I think it was just like Boundary, Kulshan.
Wander, probably.
No.
No, they were a couple years after that.
I feel like there was another one, but I can't, because it wasn't Aslan either. Aslan started after we moved there. Mm-hmm. I feel like there was a third one. It's just not coming to me. But yeah.
So it definitely wasn't like the town that
No,
it is now.
no.
like
I think there was only like 3 breweries. Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we thought it was like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
So we thought he'd work in a brewery first.
So yeah, so
applied
then
for
once,
Kulshan.
we moved there, and we were there for like a month, because we moved there in October once the Mariners season was over. And so I was like, okay,
Now I
that
can
season's
go.
over, now I can go up there. So we moved in October, and that was like the worst month of my life, because like we didn't have a job. And then, like, as beautiful as Bellingham is in the summer, it sucks in the winter.
So gray.
Oh
so
my gosh.
crappy.
I know, and it's not like it's that far from Seattle, but somehow it's rainier, it's darker. And being from Dallas, I was just like, I can't, like, I just don't know if I can do it. So it was so horrible. So I was like, Sam, we're obviously not starting a brewery. Like, we just need to find jobs. Like, because I'm going to lose my mind. If we don't find something to keep us here, I'm out. And so he found the job of washing kegs at Kulshan and was like, it's a job. It's going to get me in. We'll see what
Sure.
happens. And if you ever meet Sam, he's the easiest person to like, and we'll just like, you're immediately like best friends with him.
Yeah.
So of course, like they hired him immediately. He's probably the best keg washer they've ever had, probably the most efficient. Like, they're probably like, wow, okay.
To like to an
Just
annoying
washing
degree.
a keg, like to like just
Totally.
chill, guy. Just like getting every angle right or whatever. But I mean, it was no surprise that he quickly moved up, because it's like he's likable. He was quick to learn and just was asking questions, and we're just like, oh yeah, you actually like you care.
You
So
dig
like,
this,
let's see
yeah.
where this goes. Yeah.
Awesome.
So how long from keg washer to like head brewer there?
He was there for 5 years. I would say I don't think he did keg washing too long before
Yeah.
then. He was like kind of an assistant, and they went through a couple head brewers while he was there. But then where he like really stepped up was when they opened K2, when Kulshan opened their second location,
Sure.
because Wes then went over and was running K2, and Sam took over running their original James Street location. So that's kind of like when he was able to really go full solo. So yeah, I would say, I mean, within a couple years,
That's insane.
he was doing some like assistant stuff, and then just took over the location, and
That's a quick rise, man.
it's quick. It was
You're not
so
kidding.
quick. Yeah, no, it was super quick, and yeah, he introduced the Goza and kind of like all these. Yeah,
That was his beer?
That was his beer.
That's
yeah.
fucking insane.
Yeah.
That's like the beer I
Delicious.
think of when I think
Yeah.
of Kulshan. I didn't know that was his.
Yeah, and so
Son of a
he brought in all these cool beers that other people might not. They were just kind of staying in the lane of hazies and IPAs and
Sure.
a little pilsner here or there, but
Yeah.
not a lot.
That's
So, yeah.
wild. So he had an affinity for German beers prior to actually traveling to
Yeah,
Germany.
because that's what he likes, you
Right.
know. I mean, when you're younger and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, there's IPA, like we're in Seattle or whatever. But he's like, I want to drink multiple beers, and I'm not doing that with like this heavy hazy or, you know, a New England style ale. And so he just really honed in on to trying to craft lagers and create this beer that you actually like want to drink and drink multiple of. And then kind of learning about it because he is a perfectionist and a purist.
Sure.
He just really loved the fact that, you know, German beer, like at the end of the day, that's what beer should be. Like that's the basis of beer.
That's
you
the
know?
base of all other beer.
Yeah, you just have a few ingredients and like that is and I try to explain to people who come into the tap room that like they're like, oh yeah, it's just like a light beer. I'm sure you could just like whip that up real easily. I'm like, no, they are way harder to make and they take twice as long.
Yeah.
It's like you can't hide anything in that.
Right.
So they're actually extremely hard to make, and it does take a meticulous person to make sure that they're making a world-class lager.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that sort of thing nicely to people.
Right? I know, like it is.
Actually.
Totally. It's actually hard to make lagers.
Yeah.
There is like something kind of gratifying about, because like people who don't get it, like if they see simplicity, you know what I mean? Like, like it's like sushi. Oh, you're just cutting up a fish, but you're like, you don't see the complex process that goes behind it.
Yeah.
There's like a gratifying thing about that. It sucks because Untapped exists and people can take that opinion and put it on the internet. But like, you know, when people are like, it's really simple, you're just like, man, it's anything but simple.
It's anything but.
Yeah. And simple, especially in beer, but like in everything, simple very rarely means easy.
Yeah. Well, and it's so cool just like being a lager place too. It's just people who come in and I'm happy to educate them all the time on it and just kind of opening people's eyes to understanding what like a lager is and where they're from and how they originate and how different they are than an ale and an IPA. So it's really cool to be that place so then people can come and like actually learn about it.
That's so
when
cool.
they order a beer.
I'm curious about the goofiest stuff you've heard from people walking in with their lager opinions.
Oh my gosh. One of the best things is when they walk in and they're like, I'll have the lager. And I'm like, which one? I don't know. Like, which one? And I'll like turn around. I'm like, what? Which one do you want?
You don't just say, okay.
And like for the most part, I know they're like going for like the Helles or like, you know, whatever. But then there was one time where they were like, they said, I think maybe it was like the Winterbrow Dark Lager. And so I was like, oh, yeah, see, like I wasn't expecting that. Like you just said, like I'll have the lager. I'm assuming the Helles. They're like, oh, well, like the dark lager, duh. And I'm like, well, okay, sorry.
It's the only one that says lager.
Okay. So that's kind of fun. And then there was one time that somebody came in and she was so sweet. This poor woman. She ordered a Helles. She was so sweet. Oh my god, this poor woman. And I was just like, But she ordered a Helles, I believe, for her friend, and then the Dunkel for her. And so I handed her both the beers, and she just like looks at the Helles, and she was like, well, "What's that?" And I was like, "Well, that's the Helles that you ordered." And she goes, well, it's a lager. Isn't it supposed to be dark? And I'm like, no. We need to have a chat.
How much time do you have?
No. Okay. I don't. That was just like totally different than what I thought.
Man, where'd you even get that?
Yeah, I know. That's why I just wanted to be like, where did you?
Who told you that?
I'll have a Pilsner ale instead.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny when people come in and. Yeah, and then you get the plenty. Before, like a couple weeks ago, we didn't really have a hazy, and so they'll come in and be like, "I'll have the hazy." I'm like, "Yeah, we don't have one." They're like, "What?"
Here's a half.
I'm like,
That's the haziest thing we got.
The original.
Here you go. Yeah. And the one thing I can't stand is when people come in and they ask for like a lemon or an orange with the Hefeweizen, and I want to be like, get out.
How dare they?
Like that's just not what you do.
Go back to the 80s.
Yeah, this isn't a blue moon, and then they just get so confused that I say no.
You're like, we don't do that.
And I'm just like, no, we don't put fruit. Like that. And the Hefeweizen. Yeah. Don't be mean to it like that. Yeah. You're gonna make it worse. Don't do that.
You're gonna make it worse.
And like I have to tell people when they order the Hefeweizen, I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's really, traditional German Hefeweizen. You get banana, clove, and then they'll just look at me. They're like, what? I'm like, well, that's what a Hefeweizen is. Like,
They're
and
like,
I feel
and lemon though, right?
And
a lemon.
Yeah. And I
Do I get a lemon?
For the most part, like people are coming in expecting just like an American wheat ale, and I'm like, that's not a German Hefeweizen. You're gonna get something that is so drastically different than what you think. It's Pyramid's fault,
And
right?
Widmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
We're
that
making
it's
the
bad, it's just
American
that
wheat.
it's so different.
Hey, it was one of my gateway beers. I'm not.
Totally.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was almost every.
I think when
yeah.
you say when somebody says Hef and they've never had a German one, and then they get one, and it's just like straight banana, bubblegum, clove, like it's so unexpected. I think for people.
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah. And like,
Not
so
a
that's
fan.
why I have to say it, because it's like, if I don't tell you what flavors you're about to get, if you don't know, you're going to return
be
it. And then we're
surprised.
just going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like,
Where do we go from here?
where do we go from here?
Speaking of which, we're going to take a super quick break because we all have beers we need to refill. Hang out for just a second. We'll be right back.
This is Citizen Tacoma host Eric Hanberg and Channel 253 co-founder. With me is sound producer Doug, here to ask you to support Channel 253 in this new year. We are independent media. 2025 is going to be a hard year in a variety of ways, but we can keep Tacoma strong by covering the things that you care about.
That's right. Even though nationally things may be difficult, you can have a tangible effect and input on things happening locally, and we'll try to inform you and aid you in that quest.
We want to be responsive to the listeners because we are listener-funded. If you like the things that we talk about, Citizen Tacoma is going to be all in on the mayoral race and all of the other things happening in our city. We have the international angle from Nate and Hope. Please consider giving us your support at channel253.com/membership. $4 a month, $40 a year. Your support makes a real difference.
And those of you who are members already, and that's a number of you, we thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, and we hope to see you on the Slack forums, a special member benefit. Again, channel253.com/membership.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out during the break. As always, a shout out to Doug, our wonderful producer, for making it sound awesome. And to Chris for putting us on video. Thank you so much. If you guys haven't yet, please do go check out Great and Grading podcast on YouTube. You can watch videos of us doing this and pretend you're sitting right here getting drunk with us.
Chris is doing a great job with those. They're so much fun.
Actually, I have I've had multiple people reach out and be like, hey, I stopped listening for a long time, but like I'm one of those dudes that like watches podcasts. So now that you guys are on YouTube, I'm following along again. Like, okay, perfect.
Nice.
So yeah, please do that. And then you heard about it on the break, but please do go check out Channel 253 as well. Absolutely fantastic. Independent network of local podcasts.
Now more than ever.
Yeah, things are getting fucking weird out there. So
They sure are.
if you guys want to hear opinions from like-minded folks who are also nervous about microplastics, Channel 253, baby. Oops. I hope they take me out before it's time to retire. All right, everybody's got fresh beer. We had to pop some Hefeweizen on the break since we were just talking about it.
Did you
It
get
is
one?
lovely. This is so.
You bought all of our Hefeweizen.
Yeah, we bought all
You
of
don't
it.
even have any to
Yeah,
serve in the
sorry.
tap room. We have $5 can pours. We're like, sorry, talk to Orcus about it. I don't know.
So yeah, I didn't mention it before, but I have the pleasure of working with Kate and Sam and Larrabee now. Very, very happy to be able to bring their beer to everybody else in Washington. Although Sam was fucking running trucks himself. I don't know how often, but like, yeah, coming down from Bellingham to take beer to everywhere.
I mean, it got to the point where I gave him 2 sets of paper. Here's the divorce papers, or here's a distribution contract. Pick which one you want. I hope it's a no, not really, but like, I mean, I was getting there, and he was just like I think I'm tired of thinking about the distribution. Like, can you just like make the call? I'm like, yeah, do it. Like, I can't. You're driving down to Seattle every other Friday. Sometimes it was like every Friday, if like one person was just like, oh, actually, like, and Sam's not going to say no. Like, he's not a person to say, nope, sorry, like, I'll get you next week when I'm down there.
Right.
So there was times where, he would come down to the pump house for like, and just deliver 2 kegs because we like adore the pump house.
Totally.
And so, yeah, it just got to the point where I was like, well, and he was maxed out. So I'm like, well, you can't grow. If you're doing a self-distro, you can only fit however much you have in your truck.
Yes.
So you can't go get new accounts. So
That's like
it's
the
time,
perfect.
bud.
That's exactly
Yeah.
the time. Like we have that talk with breweries all the time because we get approached a lot, and people are like, "Well, I'm self-distributing now," and it's like, "Well, are you guys like? Do you guys have more demand than you can fulfill? Because if that's the case, then this is probably the right time. But if you're not really hitting that wall yet, you should continue to do what you're doing as long as you possibly can." So it sounds like you guys just hit that wall.
We did, and I was just like, "You got to stop."
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it was wearing on him eventually.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing is I've seen a lot of very well-meaning owners just destroy their mental health trying to service accounts 4 hours from their brewery, and it's impossible. Sometimes it's the right choice, sometimes it is not. But I'm glad you guys aren't divorced.
We're not divorced. You signed the right deal paper. So
honestly, it was the easiest negotiation ever. So now I know why.
I might have had something to do with that.
Yeah. Hey, can I give you a few other phone numbers for people to call?
We'll get this handled.
Yeah.
Did you go to Germany with Sam?
I mean, no. Well, no. I visited him.
Okay.
So, again, to like all of our crazy stories, everything we're part of. So he had applied for that Glenn Falconer scholarship for 3 or 4 years, and I was pregnant with our first kid, Porter. And yes, her name is Porter. Her name is Porter, absolutely.
Of course.
Awesome. And so I was pregnant with her, and we got the call like 5 days before she was born. And I just looked at Sam because we were like on a walk, and he's like thinking about it. He's like, I haven't heard from him yet. Like, I don't know. Like, I know last year they said it was like really close, and so I should apply again. So like, I'm just like, well, I haven't heard from him. I was like, they're gonna like tell you yes or like they're not gonna just not tell you. They've told you the past few years. They're like, no, keep trying. And so he got a phone call, and I just like looked at him. I was like, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. And I'm like, I'm trying to be happy, right? But I'm also like, I'm about to have our first baby.
More
like,
important things.
what is gonna like? And so I was like, this is how the world works. So we're like on a walk, and they of course tell him like, you are the recipient of this scholarship, and I'm like so happy for him. But I'm like, oh my god! So now you leave in August, and I am about to have our baby, and I don't know what's about to happen. So I couldn't tell him no, and I wouldn't. There's no way I would ever say no to that opportunity, right? That's way too good of an opportunity. So he obviously accepted it, and I moved in to his parents' house in Bellevue, and Sam's brother moved into the house we were living in Bellingham, so he could like watch the house, because I'm like, I'm about to have a newborn, like I don't want to be in Bellingham alone. And so he went to Chicago, and so we flew out there together on our anniversary.
Oh my
on our
goodness.
first wedding anniversary.
You are a good sport.
Oh my
Jesus
gosh,
Christ.
it was so crazy. Our first wedding anniversary, we flew out there to Chicago, and with my little, Porter was 2 months old at that point. And so we hung out with him in Chicago for a week, and then it was like, all right, see ya in a few
6 months. Yeah.
And, but there was a week or 10 days that I did go to Germany with Porter.
Whoa.
And so at that point she was 4 months old on an airplane. So I don't know. Luckily she was the easiest baby, but like when I had baby number 2, I was like, absolutely not.
What year was
I
Rausch
would
beer
not.
born?
This is wild.
Damn it.
I love that.
You have a second though, and you're like, "What did I do when
did
I
I
had
do?
my first?" You're like,
did I
"Yeah,
do?
I
Why
will
would I
take
do that?"
absolutely no inconveniences
Yeah.
at all."
Yeah,
Thus far.
it was crazy. So yeah, and then I went to stay with him for like 10 days when he was in Germany, and that was cool. And that was super fun. We were there for my 30th birthday party.
Oh,
Party,
man.
30th birthday.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was a party. We had steins and whatever, but yeah. So that was cool, but that was a crazy time too. Just like, oh, cool.
For anybody who's listening and isn't familiar with this, it's the Siebel Institute.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's when you do, it was the master's program that he went through.
Yep.
Is that right? So the master's program is they do different levels of education at Siebel, but the master's program in particular is split about half and half between Chicago and Germany. So you're learning how to make beer in the birthplace of most modern beer.
Yeah.
And it's very intensive, and it is full-time school, and it's a lot.
Yeah. And so that's that's the reason he left Kulshan, because it was like, he was already at the top, right? He was already head brewer. There wasn't anywhere for him to go.
Right.
So it was like, okay, so I'm going to be gone for 4 or 5 months. Am I going to come back to, one, my job? And two, do I want to come back to that? Or is this like the time that I, do something else, which is then. So that's why he ultimately left Kulshan. And that was like such a painful thing for him to go and talk with Dave about, the owner of Kulshan, because I absolutely, we love Dave just so much, and he loves Sam.
Everybody there is very sweet, man.
Oh, Kulshan is the best.
It is
brewery.
It's the best. It's the best.
Really good people.
Yeah, the most amazing people. And so that was a hard day for him to leave.
Yeah.
But Dave has helped us so much to get to where we are. Just from any time Sam has asked questions or needs to, borrow a truck or have Dave come drive some sort of machinery. So, I mean, it was crazy to leave Kulshan, but as soon as we got back into Bellingham, Dave was like, "What do you need help with?"
Yeah,
Like,
that's so cool.
let's do this. You deserve to have like your own place.
I'm sure Wes is the same.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh yeah.
Wes is
Wes and oh my gosh, that's who you should have on a podcast together.
Oh, for
Wes
sure.
and Sam.
Yeah.
Wes and I met
Oh
in
my
this room,
God.
actually. When we first
remember
met,
that
it was
day.
at an event. And Katie was here, Wes was here, and we were doing like a coffee and beer event in this room.
Yeah.
And we should.
Yeah, he's a
drive
treasure.
Wes down here.
Oh, Wes and Sam together on a podcast. It's just
Oh, hell yeah.
entertainment. Oh, that would be
Sweet.
so fun. That would be so fun.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll do a Bellingham podcast
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. I know Sam's having major FOMO right now.
Yeah? I'm sure he is. That's okay. We'll have you guys back down. It'll be easy. We'll bring Lane down from Aslan, too.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yep.
She's a sweetheart.
Totally. Crushing it with Bellingham Beer Week, too. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's a lot.
So the tap room you're in now, was there any build out or was it a previous?
It was a massive build out.
Okay, yeah. How'd that go?
So we that was our first building we put an offer in on. It used to be an Asian buffet. And so when we went in there and saw it for the first time, it was still very much the Asian buffet. Like they picked up and left.
Dang.
And so we walked in there, we were like, this place is disgusting. It's a mess. It had like this weird like back room that was like mirrored. I'm like, and like torn up.
Ruh-roh.
No, it was bizarre. And I was just like, what happened in this room? Like, it was weird. Like,
We know.
like, yeah, we know.
Bleach it, bleach it.
We know what happened. Yeah, it was just so disgusting.
Why'd they leave so quickly?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah, it was like everything is still here.
All
What's
the
happening?
buffets.
Yeah. All the buffets. All the buffets. And so we put in an offer, and like the owners just like would not agree, and they were just like at this crazy high price, and we're like, no, like that's not going to happen. So then we went to another building. We were on that one, but there was the sprinkler system that had to get installed, and that was like $300,000. So
Fuck, dude. Oh my god.
So we asked him, we were like, this is technically like, I mean, this is your building, it's an improvement. Like, can you pay for this? Or can we like work with something on it? They were like, nope, good luck. And we're
Really?
like, okay.
That's
so I guess,
insane.
and so we walked from that building, but I think it was like, it was one of those where that building felt like a force, where we were just like, what else are we going to find? Especially because like, the space that we wanted, and we wanted to create a big German
Like a
beer
big
hall, and we
community
wanted to start
space,
with big
yeah.
production. We didn't want to start with small production, because honestly, like if you're talking the difference between a 5-barrel, a 10-barrel, 15, 20, like they're not that big of a difference in price. So
That's true.
So like if you're gonna do a 10-barrel, just do a 20 for. And I don't want to say like not that much more, but like in the scheme of things, if you know you're immediately gonna like outgrow it, like
Sure.
start big. And so that's what we did. And so we're like, we need this certain thing. So we walked and we went back to the building we're at now. And at that point, there was probably like 6 months in between that time. And the landlords had gutted the building because they probably realized like no one's coming in and looking at this and being like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So the good part is that when we came back, it was already gutted. So we didn't have to deal with any of that or paying for any of that. And then we did get some great tenant improvements out of it from them too, because they were like, well, yeah, no one else wants this building. And so we were able to come to terms, and it was great. But when we went in there, it was just a big empty rectangle. And so we had to do everything. The only thing that was left was the framing of the bathrooms, but everything else was built from the ground up. Wow. It was wild.
That is wild.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, like, kind of double-edged. Like, it'd be nice if there was a little infrastructure.
Yeah,
but also,
right?
like, you can do everything you want.
Trench drains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can it just be trench drains? We'll do the rest.
Yeah.
What's the biggest headache?
Yeah.
It was the most. It costs a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like getting permits on that was taking forever, and it had been months when we applied for permits, and Sam and I are like, we need to start like building, or else like, you know, we already haven't had a job for a year, like we need to get this going. And so we kept hounding the city of just like, where are our permits, whatever. I finally like emailed and called and left messages for the mayor of just like, what's happened? Like, we need this.
Damn.
2 days later, we got our permits. I was like, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Making shit happen, baby.
There we are. Yeah. He didn't ever like respond to me. He'd probably like, can somebody do something about this woman? 'Cause I don't have time. It's so annoying. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Like,
Good.
come on. So, yeah, sometimes you just got to raise some hell.
Yeah.
Sure.
Get
That's
it.
how it's done.
Did you highlight that on Tuesday?
No, I didn't, but I should.
I'm enjoying those new information
fun,
Tuesdays.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like this fun little thing because I like can't sleep sometimes. I wake up and then I'm like, then my mind is going crazy. And so, yeah, that's just something that our younger kid says. She'll just be like, that's some new information. And so I was like, oh, I should make that a segment. So I made it a segment, a Tuesday segment where I try to, you know, teach people about beer styles or where we came from or just more about us because there's so much to learn about beer. And I think showing that we know our stuff.
And this is on Instagram stories.
They are.
Yeah.
They're on our Instagram page or Instagram stories. And so I try to do it every Tuesday. Some Tuesdays I'm like, oh, crap. Well, guess I'll wait till next week. But, yeah.
We feel that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to be consistent with anything.
It's really hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to think like everybody knows everything about beer because of like the circles we roll in, but then you see customers come in and they're like,
and they know
I'll have the
nothing.
lager, you know, and you're like, okay, well, there is a lot of education, out there, like needs to be out there.
It has to, and it's really important for us for our front of house. We are lean and mean. We have a very small staff for the size that we are.
Samesies.
Yeah, and it makes it nice because it's like, for the most part, everybody sees the same people when they come in, and we have these people who actually know and understand the beer and can articulate it to the customers rather than just like, I don't know. Like, I don't...
It's kind of like a Heineken.
I don't know. Yeah, like, I don't know. Sure, whatever. And so... But, I mean, yeah. And my favorite is teaching people about the cold IPA. Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
We were joking about that last night because it's Larrabee Lager Company, obviously. And so, like, you know, making an IPA just seems like a little out of pocket. Yeah. But a cold IPA is about as close to a lager as you can get.
Close to a lager as you can get. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, when we first opened, that was the only IPA we had on.
Of course.
And so people would come in and they would like have it and they're like, oh, that's so good. They're like, I just don't like lagers. I'm like, well, that's a lager, so. How do you like that? You like it? Yeah.
Still cold.
Yeah.
Still cold fermented. Still lager
Yeah,
yeast.
and then people will like come in and they're like, what does that mean? Does that just mean like it's cold? I'm like, no. Don't say that to me like that
Different
either.
yeast.
Like, yeah. So, you know, but yeah. But now we do have a hazy on, and we actually didn't. Our hazy is so funny. Sam did it. Okay, so we did have this one beer on called the Rambler, and it was a hazy pale ale, is what we branded it as, because the first batch was hazy. But as a lagering place, Sam was, you know, using some lagering techniques, and it just
dropped clear.
And so you would pour it, and then I just got to the point where I'm like, I don't feel right about this. Like, it's like, looks like a pill, like, it looks like that. And I'm like, this isn't
crystal clear.
So then we rebranded it as Juicy Pale Ale.
There you go.
And people still liked it or whatever, but then Sam was like, this has lost everything that it's supposed to be. So I'm just actually going to brew, like, let's get rid of that beer, because it just doesn't, whatever. It's whatever anymore. And so he's like, I'm actually going to brew this hazy IPA. So we have a traditional, like, hazy IPA now, and I pour it, and I'm like, something is wrong. I can't deal with the fact that a beer looks like this. It should be clear. So I still struggle with that, where I'm like, what is this? But we literally, it doesn't have a name. It's called No Name Hazy IPA because we just don't care.
That's awesome.
We just don't care. We just don't. We didn't even announce it on Instagram.
This is just for when people ask.
New beer release, we're just like, nah, make a board. And then Sam and I were like, what should we name? We had like these names, and he's like, I don't know, because he's like, if we eventually can it, like, I don't want to like name it something now. If then so he's like, I don't know, just put a board up and just say no name. I'm like, all right. I'm like, it's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It's amazing.
You got an idea?
Well, just don't mention it on Tuesday either.
Yeah, no information, nothing about it.
My beer name idea is Squeaky Wheel. Squeaky Wheel.
Yeah.
Hazy IPA. Like,
Write it down.
people just want it, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, where's your hazy?
Yeah.
Where's your hazy?
Where's your hazy?
And eventually you brew a hazy.
Or it'd be like, I want your hazy IPA. Or I was like, we could call it like Token Hazy IPA.
Not in Bellingham.
Yeah, no, not in Bellingham. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Melvin got run out of town. I don't want to get run out of town. Yeah. I don't want to do that.
I know. That would have been a fuck-up story.
Yes, it would have. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
I think it might be fuck-up story time.
All right, Grit and Grainers, I'm Sean Jackson, and I fuck up all the God-blessed time, as we all do. So, please do regale us with your fuck-up stories.
Okay.
Doug just flipped me off. So.
So there's a few. So I guess I'll give you one on the brew side, then I'll give you another on the tap room side. So
He's not here, it's fine.
Sam's not here. So a lot of people don't know, like when they come in the tap room. Well, not a lot of people, but some people they're just like sitting at the bar or whatever, and they're like, are all of these your beers? And I'm like, well, yeah. Like, yeah, they're all made right back there. And they're like, wow. I'm like, yeah, by one insane man. Like, we just have one guy. It's just one guy.
Yeah.
There's nobody else, right? Like, it's just this one crazy man running around back there doing literally everything himself. And so, because it's just Sam, he, is having to multitask. Like, a mofo running around that place. So there was one time, not this Doppelbock, but the previous year's Doppelbock, he left a valve open and dumped chemicals into like half the batch of Doppelbock.
No.
And
That's such an expensive beer to ruin.
It was very expensive. And so we didn't get as much as we wanted. But yeah, so that was one where he was like, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell
worry,
I just had to pour like
Nobody-
half of it out. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times like in the back when it's just him and he's trying to multitask and run everywhere, and there's just like a valve. Yeah. If you leave a valve open sometimes,
Yep.
it's not gonna end well. And so yeah, we unfortunately had to pour out, to dump half of a Doppelbock, and that was brutal. That
That is an expensive beer to fuck up on.
That wasn't good.
Like a Kulshan, like a German Pils is like takes less than half the ingredients of a typical
Right.
Doppelbock.
Yeah. No, he was like, I'm hurting right now. It's like, I'm just like, yeah, he had to get over that one.
Sure.
That was rough.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you have that aspect. So Sam does the show behind the scenes. I'm always working the bar. For the most part, Sam and I are like passing ships in the night because someone's got to watch our kids.
Oh,
so someone needs to. So, he's there during the day and then I go work the bar at night.
Yep.
And so there's this one customer we have who loves our pizza like so much. And he even brought us in this like it's like 21-inch pizza peel. And he's like, I will give you this pizza peel, and when I come in, will you make me just like a giant ass pizza? Because that's what I want. I just love your pizza so much, and like I just think it's so fun to just like have this huge pizza. So he comes in from time to time, and he gets these like huge ass pizzas, and then like we have to box them up. So I'm like, well, this is all lost in it because now we got to cut it up and put it in these boxes anyways. But I guess he was at the tap room like a couple weeks ago. And I'm just kind of like running up and down, trying to grab stuff off the tables, clean them up. And I just see like these like 4 boxes just like piled. And I'm like, and so I look at them and I see one of them. I'm like, oh, this must have been his pizza, but but then all the other ones were like empty. Oh. And so I was like, maybe he just like left it here. I don't know. And so I'm just like going up and down. And so I just like grab them. Nobody says anything. And then I like go back and I'm like trying to bust some more tables. And his wife was like throwing something in the trash. And I was like, oh, I'll take that glass up for you because I'm going up there anyways. I was like, how was everything tonight? And she goes, well, it's good, but someone threw away our pizza. And I was like, oh no. What do you mean? She's like, well, we had our pizza like in the boxes right there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just threw away your pizza. So then I had to go back to the kitchen and we were already busy. And I was like, Travis. So I need another huge pizza.
Because you're not busy right now.
And he's just like, there's just like all these tickets lined up on the rail. And he's like, God damn it, Kate. I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I grabbed them. They didn't say anything to me. They were on an empty table, but they were like playing games on their other one. And I'm just like, okay, I can't do this. So I felt so bad. And it's like, because it's not just like a normal, just like pepperoni pizza you have to remake. You got to remake this like specialty giant pizza. Yeah. And yeah, that was fun.
I don't even have the dough proof for that. Fuck.
I felt so bad. I was just like, oh my God. And they're like, I was like, we can remake it. She's like, no. I'm like, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah. It's worse when they just say no. No, it's fine. We'll just leave it
that.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
No, it's fine. That means the opposite.
Please come back and spend money here.
Please do it. Your big giant pizzas. I don't know. We'll do anything. We'll do anything for customers, right? Like,
that's how it works.
All right, Grit and Grainers, email us at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and never mind. We know you're most likely screaming into a cute Chinese pillow purchased on TikTok. We read and drink everything we receive, and we try to respond as fast as we can. If not online, then on air. You can subscribe to Grit and Grain on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher, and please leave us a review. Also, check us out on channel 253.
Ron is back.
And gritandgrainpodcast.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for episode notes, beer news, and hopefully less brewery closures alerts. This isn't the end of craft beer. Folks have been enjoying beer for over 6,000 years and will continue to do so. But things change. Craft beer is made by real humans who live and play in your neighborhood and are important stalwarts in your community. So if you love your local craft brewery, pop in, take your friends, tell your inner circle about it. Point out Shane, Travis, Jeff, Parker, Brian with a Y, Brian with an I, Shelby, Connor, Kyle, Chad, and others, and treat them like the rock stars they are. Post about it on social media while you're there. Spread the word. Have your meetings there. There's non-alcoholic beverages now.
Yes.
So even if you don't feel like a beer but need space, pull up a bar stool. If this podcast is not what you expected, please alter your expectations. What do you call a lager beer that's been fermented with top fermenting yeast? An ale. No such thing as a bad time to visit Tacoma. No such thing as too much barley wine. Tune in next Friday for more sweet chatter. Cheers.
Cheers. We missed you, Ron. You were missed.
Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Good up.
Channel 253 is member supported. I'm producer Doug Mackey, and I hope you will show your support by going to channel253.com/membership and join. Thank you. Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Move to Tacoma, Interchangeable White Ladies, What Say You, Citizen Tacoma, and Kitchen 253.
This is Channel 253.